What's up guys, Groovy Guitar Dude here with a beginner guitar tutorial for Let's Fall in Love for the Night by Finneas. If this video helps you out, hit that like and subscribe button and let me know down in the comments below what are the songs by Finneas that you want to learn on guitar. Guys, the first thing that you want to know to play Let's Fall in Love for the Night is that in order to get rid of some bar chords and keep this as beginner friendly as possible, we're going to capo up to 5th fret. And if you don't have a capo, I'll link to get this capo for free right up here. The next thing you want to know for Let's Fall in Love for the Night is the structure of this song. We're going to start out with a chorus, then go to verse, then chorus, then bridge, and then we're going to finish up with one last chorus. From there, you want to know the 5 chords that we need to play this song. The first one is D minor. The next one is G. The next one is C. The next one is A minor. And the last one is E minor. And I have chord charts for all of those in the pinned comment below for those of you who need them. And with all that in mind, guys, let's dive into Let's Fall in Love for the Night. Man, this is such a fun song to play. It's so cool, so well written, and it's just a blast. I love this one. Ever since you guys requested it, I've just been jamming on it a bunch, and I have gotten hundreds of requests for this song, so I'm really stoked to be finally bringing it to you guys. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the chorus first, since that's what we hear in the song. Our chord progression for chorus, it's going to look a little bit long and intimidating, but I promise it's not as difficult as it seems. Our chord progression for chorus is going to go like this. First time through, we're going to go D, G, A minor, and then A minor. The next one, we're going to go D, G, C, and C again. Then this one, we're going to go D, G, C, A minor, and then last line here, we're going to go D, and then in parentheses, we have G, we have another G that's underlined, that's a different kind of G, I'll show you that in just a second, and then C. And that's going to be what we play throughout our entire chorus, each chorus, right? So the first thing that we really want to look into here is what we're doing for picking. And this is going to be the most challenging part of the song. It's probably a little bit more, less beginner friendly than I usually teach on my channel for sure, but it's probably still pretty intermediate level. It's not too terribly difficult. Even if you're a beginner, you can get this down. It's just probably going to take a little bit more practice than maybe just some of the other beginner stuff that we've worked on in the past. So let's break this down chord by chord, what we're going to be doing for each chord for picking. But first, a quick note before we dive into these picking patterns. Once we learn these specific picking patterns for each chord, those picking patterns are going to apply to each of those chords the same way throughout the entire song. So the picking patterns that we're going to be using for chorus here are going to be the same picking patterns for each chord that we're going to use on verse as well. So it's going to seem like a lot, but once you learn these picking patterns for each chord, they're going to apply to the entire song. So it's not as much as it seems like it is. So with that in mind, let's take a look at our D minor first, because that's the first chord that we see in the song. So the picking pattern for D minor is going to go like this. D, G, D, and then we're going to go B and high E at the same time. And then we're going to open up that high E string. So we're going to take our pointer finger off of 1st fret of the high E and pick B and high E again at the same time. And then G. And then that's it for our D minor. The next one we're going to look at is our G chord. For our G chord, we're going to go low E, G, low E, and then we're going to go B and high E at the same time. And then we're going to take our pinky finger off of the high E 3rd fret, and we're going to put our pointer finger on 1st fret of the high E, and we're going to do B and high E again at the same time, and then G. And then next we're on to our C and our A minor. We're actually going to have the same picking pattern for the C and for the A minor. We're going to go A, D, A, and then G and B at the same time. And then we're going to take our pointer finger off of the 1st fret B string and then do G and B again at the same time. And then G. And then that's it. That's the only picking patterns you need to use for this song. So real quick, just to show you that A minor, that we're going to be using the same picking pattern for that one. Like I said, we're going to go A, D, A, and then G and B at the same time. Take that pointer finger off 1st fret B, G and B at the same time, and then G. And then like I said, that's it. That's the only picking patterns we need for this song, which seems like a lot. Like I said, this is probably the intermediate part of the song, if anything is, or definitely the more intermediate part for sure. But the cool thing is that applies to the entire song. So once you get those down, once you have those pretty locked into your head, those are going to apply to every single part of the song except for the bridge, which we'll get to in a minute. So with that in mind, now that we have our picking patterns and we have our chorus chord progression, let's walk through that whole thing really slowly. We're going to start with our D minor. We're going to go here. Then we go to our G. Then we go to our A minor. The next line, we go to our D minor again. And then G. Then C. The next line, we go D minor again. Then G. Then C. Then A minor. And then here we go to our last line. We go D minor, regular picking pattern. And then here's where that little parentheses thing goes here. This we're going to switch to a little strum pattern here. We're just going to do a single down strum for each of those chords. So we're going to start with this G. And then here's where that underlined G, which is that little bit of a different shape that I was telling you about, we're just going to go to that shape there, which is the same one that's in our picking pattern with a first fret on the high E string, and then everything else is in normal G. So that's for that second G, that underlined G there, and then we go C. And then that is the last chord of our chorus picking pattern and strum pattern situation. So that's the entire chorus, guys, which is a lot. But the cool thing about this is that this is pretty much kind of what we're playing through the whole song. The verse and the bridge stray from this just a little bit, but it's very, very minor. So once you get this down, everything else in the song is going to be really easy because it's very, very, very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that down extremely slowly so that you guys can see everything that's going on. And then I'm going to play through a couple of times full speed so you can match up with the speed of the song. So slowly a couple of times will look about like this. And guys, all the way through that chorus, full speed will look about like this. And guys, that is what your choruses are going to look like on Let's Fall in Love for the Night. And I know that's a whole lot. It's a lot to remember, and it's a whole lot of moving pieces. But like I said, the cool thing about this song is that once you get that down, everything else in the song is going to be very, very similar. So with that in mind, let's take a look at verse. Verse chord progression is going to be really, really similar to the chorus chord progression. We're just going to switch a couple chords around. So the verse chord progression is going to go like this. D minor, G, A minor again, then we're going to go to D minor, G, C, and E minor. Then we're going to go D minor, G, C, A minor, and then we go D minor, G, G. So the only two things that really change is that we're going to add that E minor into the second line there, and then the last line we're going to have that D minor for 2 measures and that G for 2 measures. Now, real quick, the only picking pattern that we need to know that's different than the chorus is that E minor. Obviously, we didn't learn that E minor the first time we went through because we weren't using that chord in the choruses. So the E minor, really similar picking pattern to everything else we're doing. We're going to go low E, D, low E, and then we're going to add a pointer finger down here to first fret on the B string. We're going to go B and G at the same time. Then we're going to take that pointer finger off and do B and G at the same time. And then we're going to do G string. And that's it for that E minor. And then every other chord is going to be played exactly the same with the exact same picking pattern that we used in the choruses. So with that in mind, I'm going to play through that once really, really slowly. So again, you guys can see exactly what's going on through the whole way of that. And then I'm going to play through it once all the way full speed. So slowly through your verse should look about like this. And guys, once all the way through our verse chord progression with those picking patterns will look about like this. And guys, finally, that is going to bring us into bridge, which is the last thing that we need to know to play Let's Fall in Love for the Night. For bridge, this is another awesome part of this. We're just going to have the same chord progression that we used for verse. Same exact chord progression. The only thing is that we're going to switch to strumming instead of picking. So here's our breakdown for strumming. For the first 2 lines, we're going to be using 4 down strums per chord. So that'll sound kind of like this. From there, on the 3rd line, we're going to switch to 2 down strums per chord, just for the 3rd line. We're going to go like this. And then for that last line, we're going to do 8 down strums per chord, except for on that last G, we're just going to do 2 down strums for that last G only. So that kind of will look about like this. And that's it, guys. That is going to be our strum pattern. Like I said, same chord progression we used in verse, and then we're just going to use those couple of strum patterns, 4 down strums for the first 2 lines, 2 for the 3rd line, and then that little 8 down strum pattern for the last line. So, guys, one time all the way through that bridge chord progression with those strum patterns without me talking should look something like this. And guys, that is everything that you need to know to play Let's Fall in Love for the Night on guitar. As always, if you have any questions, you can hit me up in the comments below. I'm usually pretty quick getting back to those. And again, if this video helps you out, hit that subscribe button. I have about 650 other guitar and ukulele lessons on this channel, and I usually try to post at least 3 to 5 new lessons every single week. So if you're learning guitar or ukulele, there cannot be a more perfect channel for you to check out. If you want to see what song I'm jamming on today or pictures of my dog, you can hit up my Instagram story at the Groovy Guitar Dude. Link for that will be in the description below. Guys, Let's Fall in Love for the Night is a beautiful song, and it's so fun to play on guitar. And I will say that this is a little bit more of an intermediate lesson. If you've gotten this far in it, you probably have noticed that, but it is a little bit more on the intermediate level because there's just a lot of moving pieces to this song. Really, most of the stuff, so like the chord progressions are fairly beginner. The picking patterns are probably really a little bit more intermediate, but really the biggest thing is that remembering where everything goes and putting all the different pieces and the picking patterns with their specific chords, that's kind of going to be the tricky part. It's more about just remembering what goes where than it actually being challenging, to play on either side. It's really just mostly remembering what goes with what, basically. But this is an awesome song. Like I said, I've gotten hundreds of requests for this song. It's a really fun one, and I've had a lot of fun. This is one of those songs that, like, a lot of times when I'm doing a request song, I'll kind of learn the song, teach it, and then I might not even ever play it again, to be honest with you, because if it's not a song that I'm digging, I'll just kind of like, whatever. But this is one of those songs that I kind of worked on throughout the weekend, this past weekend, and learned it and kind of, wrote out what I wanted to teach and how I wanted to teach it and everything. Watched some videos of Finneas playing it to make sure that I was playing it as accurately as possible and teaching as accurately as possible. But this is a song that I've actually been playing myself a lot too. I've been jamming on it ever since I learned it because I'm like, this is a cool song. So with that in mind, thank you guys for introducing me to cool new music. You guys actually introduced me to more new music than you probably think you do. A lot of my favorite artists and a lot of my favorite acoustic guitar songs and that kind of stuff have been songs that you have introduced to me. So I really appreciate that. So guys, I had a lot of fun learning this song. I hope you guys have a lot of fun learning it as well, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see y'all soon.